What happens when a man who has carried honor like a shield suddenly decides to drop it? In Outlander, Jamie Fraser has always been the rock, the leader, the husband, the warrior who fights for what is right. But in Season 8, the whispers say Jamie is ready to let loose. And when Jamie Fraser lets loose, nothing and no one is safe. Jamie Fraser is not just another character in a period drama. He is the pulse of Outlander. Since the very first season, audiences have followed him through battles, betrayals, heartbreaks, and impossible choices. He is the kind of man who inspires loyalty from those around him, not because he demands it, but because he earns it with his courage and unshakable devotion. And yet, what makes Jamie so fascinating is not his perfection, it's his flaws. His inner storms and the fire that hides beneath his calm exterior. For years, Jamie has been defined by restraint. His every decision carries the weight of family, clan, and destiny. He has endured pain, physical and emotional, that would break most men. From the scars carved into his back to the memories burned into his soul, Jamie has been tested in ways that strip men down to nothing. And yet, he rose above. He held himself with dignity, choosing patience when others chose violence, choosing faith when others chose despair. But restraint has a breaking point. Even the strongest heart can only bear so much before it explodes. Season 8 teases that this is the moment. Jamie Fraser is ready to cast off the chains of duty and unleash the man he has hidden away for too long. Think back to the early seasons, those moments when Jamie was forced to step into violence to protect Claire, or when his anger burned through his calm exterior. Those glimpses of raw fire were unforgettable. Fans know what Jamie is capable of when pushed too far. Now imagine an entire season where that energy is no longer restrained. Imagine Jamie not just reacting, but taking charge, making bold, dangerous moves, and shocking even those who thought they knew him best. This is the Jamie fans have been waiting to see, but why now? Why in Season 8 does Jamie let loose? Part of the answer lies in how far he has come. Jamie is no longer the young Laird of Lallybroch, no longer just the protective husband to Claire, no longer simply the outlaw fighting to survive. He is older, wiser, and perhaps more dangerous because of it. He knows the cost of hesitation. He knows what happens when you trust the wrong man or show mercy to the wrong enemy. And he knows the world he lives in, a world torn apart by revolution, no longer allows half measures. So when whispers of rebellion rise, when friends become foes and enemies circle closer than ever, Jamie will have no choice but to act with the full force of who he truly is. Season 8 is not about Jamie discovering his strength, he has always had that. It is about Jamie finally using it without apology, without restraint, and without fear, and this is why the title of this video, Jamie Lets Loose, matters so much. Because when Jamie sets aside caution, when he stops holding back, he becomes not just a man, but a force. A force that can change the course of battles, shift the fate of families, and rewrite the destiny of nations. Outlander Season 8 promises this version of Jamie, the one fans have both feared and longed to see. The one who will rise above honor, above restraint, and show the world exactly what happens when Jamie Fraser finally unleashes everything he has kept hidden. Jamie Fraser's story is not just a tale of battles and love, it is the story of transformation. When we first met Jamie in the early seasons of Outlander, he was young but already carrying the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. A man bound by loyalty to his family, his clan, and his country. He was a warrior forged in the fires of Scotland's turmoil, but even then he wore his strength with restraint. Jamie never sought violence for its own sake. He endured it only when forced, using his sword not as a tool of ambition, but as a shield for those he loved. Through every season, we've watched Jamie evolve. He has been a prisoner, a fugitive, a farmer, a soldier, a leader, and above all, a husband and father. Each role has stripped away a layer of who he was, reshaping him into the man he is now. His back carries scars carved by cruelty, but his soul carries even deeper wounds, betrayals by those he trusted, losses that hollowed him, choices that bled him dry. And yet, Jamie always rose again, not by letting rage consume him, but by mastering it. He became the man who could bend without breaking, but here lies the paradox. restraint, though noble, comes at a cost. Jamie's life has been a constant balancing act between duty and desire, justice and vengeance, survival and freedom. Each season has added new cracks to the armor of his self-control. When he fought in the Jacobite Rising, it was duty. When he built a home on Fraser's Ridge, it was survival. When he stood against the British Crown, it was principle. But in every one of these choices, Jamie denied himself the full release of his fury, holding it in because he believed honor demanded it. Season 8 suggests that the time for holding back is over. Jamie is no longer the man who needs to prove his honor to others. His evolution has brought him to a place where honor is no longer defined by society's rules, or by the expectations of clan, church, or crown. Now, honor is personal. It is the promise he made to Claire, the future he wants for his children, and the world he believes must be built in blood and sacrifice. He has reached a point where compromise is no longer an option. The Jamie Fraser of today has lived too long with the ghosts of what could have been if he had unleashed his true power sooner. Think about the battles where Jamie was forced to hold back. Culloden, where the dream of Scotland was crushed. His years in prison where his body was caged but his spirit endured. Even on Fraser's Ridge where he tried to live as a man of peace while violence knocked at his door. In each of these moments, Jamie chose restraint because he thought it was the only way forward. But Season 8 whispers of a man who has finally realized that survival without power is nothing. Peace without justice is a lie, and love without fury to protect it cannot last. Jamie's evolution is not about becoming someone new, it is about becoming who he was always meant to be. The flashes of the untamed warrior have always been there, just beneath the surface. The man who could face an army for Claire. The man who could stand unflinching in the face of death. The man who could carry the weight of a nation's dream on his shoulders and still stand tall. Season 8 is not creating a new Jamie, is revealing the Jamie who has been there all along, waiting for the moment to break free. This transformation is what makes Jamie Fraser one of the most compelling characters in television. He is not static, frozen in time as the noble Highlander from Season 1. He has grown, suffered, adapted, and sharpened with every trial. Now, with the final chapter before him, Jamie's evolution reaches its climax. He is no longer a man holding back the storm, he is the storm. And when the storm breaks in Season 8, the world of Outlander will never be the same. Season 8 of Outlander is already wrapped in a cloak of mystery. But one thing is clear. This will not be the calm before the storm, this will be the storm itself. Every rumor, every whisper, every hint from cast and crew points toward a season where Jamie Fraser is tested not only by his enemies, but also by the people closest to him. The phrase, "Jamie lets loose," is more than a catchy headline. It is a promise of chaos, heartbreak, and transformation. And the greatest tension comes from not knowing whether Jamie's unleashed. Fury will save those he loves or destroy everything he has built. For years, Jamie has carried the burden of loyalty. Loyalty to Claire, to his children, to his country, and to the dream of a freer world. That loyalty has kept him steady, even when betrayal cut deep. But in Season 8, loyalty becomes complicated. The American Revolution is no longer a distant thunder, it is here, tearing apart families and forcing every character to choose a side. Jamie, who has always valued loyalty above all else, now faces choices where loyalty to one cause may mean betrayal to another. Does he stand with the rebellion and risk losing everything at Fraser's Ridge? Does he protect his family at the cost of abandoning allies? These are the impossible choices that will push him to his limits. And with impossible choices comes anger. Jamie has always been a man of deep emotions, but rarely has he allowed those emotions to fully rule him. This season, however, the stakes are too high, the betrayals too personal. When friends turn their backs, when promises are broken, and when blood is spilled, Jamie's rage will no longer be the quiet kind. It will be fire and thunder, unleashed not only on enemies but on anyone who underestimates what he is capable of. We must also consider the role of Claire in this storm. Claire has always been Jamie's anchor, the reason he rises above the darkness. But even anchors cannot always hold when the tide grows too strong. Season 8 teases moments where Jamie and Claire may clash not in their love, which has weathered every storm, but in their methods. Claire may fear what Jamie is becoming, even as she understands why he must become it. This creates a tension not of romance but of survival. Can their bond endure the man Jamie must now be? The tension extends beyond the Fraser household. Allies become enemies, and enemies may become unlikely allies. Outlander has always thrived on the unpredictability of human loyalty, and Season 8 will push that theme further than ever. Imagine Jamie standing across from men he once trusted, forced to fight them as if they were strangers. Imagine him considering deals with those he despises because survival demands it. Each decision he makes will ripple outward, shaping not only his fate but the fate of everyone tied to him. But perhaps the greatest tension lies within Jamie himself. For a man who has lived his life by codes of honor, to let loose is not only a choice, it is a risk. When he steps beyond restraint, he risks becoming someone he does not recognize. That is the heart of the drama in Season 8. Not just Jamie versus the world, but Jamie versus Jamie. Can he unleash his fury without losing the parts of himself that make him the man Claire loves, the leader others trust, and the hero fans adore? Or will this unleashed version of Jamie burn too hot, leaving ashes where once there was hope? The teasers for Season 8 hint at battles both on the field and in the heart. Muskets and bayonets may clash, but the real war is fought in Jamie's soul. And that is what makes this season so dangerous, so exciting, and so unforgettable. When a man like Jamie Fraser lets loose, he does not simply fight a war, he becomes the war. And every character who stands in his path, friend or foe, will feel the weight of that unleashed power. Season 8 is not just another chapter in the saga. It is the reckoning. And Jamie Fraser, caught between loyalty and rage, between past and future, will be at the very center of it. The only question that remains is this: when the dust clears, what will be left standing, Jamie's legacy or the ruins of everything he fought to protect? Asterisk, when we talk about Jamie Fraser letting loose, it is not just about sword fights, fiery speeches, or battles under the banner of revolution. It is about watching a man who has carried the world on his shoulders finally decide that enough is enough. Season 8 is not promising us a Jamie who plays by the rules. It is promising us a Jamie who writes his own rules drawn in blood, in sacrifice, and in love so fierce it defies reason. And that, more than anything, is what makes this closing chapter of Outlander so powerful. This is the Jamie fans have been waiting for, sometimes without even realizing it. Over the years, we have admired his loyalty, his patience, his ability to suffer in silence for the sake of those he loved. But what happens when the man of patience runs out of time? What happens when silence turns into a roar? That is the Jamie who steps forward in Season 8, the man who has learned that peace is not given, it is taken. That freedom is not asked for politely, it is claimed with fire. That sometimes, to protect the people you love, you must stop being the shield and become the sword. This final season becomes more than just a story about survival. It becomes a story about legacy. Jamie has always fought for the future, whether that future was Scotland's independence, the survival of his family, or the hope of a better world for his children. Now, he must fight knowing that the future is not a distant dream, but something that must be forged in the present moment. His choices in Season 8 will not only decide the fate of Fraser's Ridge, but will echo into the generations that follow. The Jamie who lets loose is not just a man of the moment, he is a man carving history with every action he takes. But here is where the tension cuts deepest. Fans are not only excited, they are afraid. Because when a man like Jamie unleashes everything he has been holding back, there is no guarantee of survival. Will he burn too brightly, sacrificing himself for the world he wants to leave behind? Will his unleashed fury carry him into triumph or tragedy? This uncertainty is what keeps us glued to the screen, our hearts racing with every episode, our hands gripping the edge of our seats. We know we will see Jamie like never before, but we do not know if we will see him at the end. And that is why this season is not just another chapter. It is the reckoning. It is the storm fans have been both craving and dreading. It is the unmasking of Jamie Fraser, the moment when every scar, every choice, and every sacrifice comes together in a final explosion of power. Love and fury, da. So, what do you think it will look like when Jamie finally lets loose? Will it be vengeance against those who betrayed him? A fiery stand in the revolution that shapes the birth of a nation? Or something far more personal, a decision that shocks even Claire, even us, the audience, who thought we knew every corner of his soul? Now, it is your turn. Outlander fans, tell me in the comments, what do you expect from Jamie in Season 8? Do you believe his unleashed self will bring victory or destruction? Will he emerge as the hero we've always seen him to be, or will he cross lines that change him forever? This is not just Jamie's journey anymore, it's ours. We have followed him through time, across continents, through joy and despair. We have seen him broken, rebuilt, and tested beyond measure. And now, in this final chapter, we stand with him at the edge of the storm. Together we will watch Jamie Fraser let loose. Together we will face the reckoning, and when the final credits roll, one truth will remain. Jamie Fraser was never just a character. He was, and always will be, a legend.